So as many of you guys know, I'm a second generation insurance professional, and throughout my career I've had the opportunity to serve on the agency side and the carrier side. But you know, the conversation's always been the same. It's been about the customer life cycle, it's been about the hard market, the soft market, it's been about what's next in the industry. And we're gonna tackle all of those subjects as we get into season 3 of the podcast. We're taking the podcast to a whole new level here. Welcome to the VIP Podcast, Season 3. Let's go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the VIP Podcast, Season 3. We're here hanging out today with my main man, Scott Knowles. I'm excited to have him here as he's, in a new company now. He's a serial entrepreneur and someone who loves doing that, and he's got another product that I can't wait for you guys to hear about, and his new company with LWScan. Guys, make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And without further ado, I want to dive right in. My man, Scott Knowles, how are you, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Great to see you again.
Man, it's good to see you as well. And, I told the audience a little bit about, being a serial entrepreneur, but I want them to hear it from you. So before we get into just you and I rabbit trailing and get into squirrel land, let me let you introduce yourself a little bit to the audience and tell a brief background, a little history, and how you got to where you're at now.
Yeah, sure. So, I was a commercial insurance producer for, now going on 25 plus years. But, the interesting thing about my story is just, trying to look at something that in the marketplace is a problem and trying to find solutions. As you know, this is my second SaaS, my first one being Mogic, which was a SaaS that we developed to help calculate experience mods and generate reporting functionality and so forth, so on, around the experience mod, and trying to help myself as a producer really excel in that place. So jumping from that into what we're doing now at LWScan, it's been quite interesting. But there's always that challenge of figuring out, well, how do you go from being a producer to an Insur-Tech designer, developer, and executive, I guess you can say. That's kind of a long-winded but interesting story of ours and how we got to where we are. But yeah, that's kind of the basics of who I am and where I've come from. So
yeah, I had that transition somewhat in my life of going from producer to agency owner, and I know there's a lot of people out there that listen to this that may have been there before, or they may have been from producer to carrier, or producer to Vertafore, or producer to this. What was that like for you? What was that transition from you from being a commercial producer, probably a very successful one if I know you well, then getting into Mogic, and then also what you're doing now with LWScan?
Yeah, totally. Well, there's so many challenges. I think the biggest challenge for myself was just committing the time and energy that I had to actually take those steps to say, okay, I'm going to take a little risk, and I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know how much it's going to cost me. I don't really have a clue if this is going to succeed or not. But at the end of the day, I kind of felt like if I didn't do something with what was in the back of my head, I just felt like I was doing a disservice to myself. And as time went on, it took a while to really build up Mogic to the point that it got to. We actually started as a different product. It was actually called One instead of Mogic. And then we changed the name because it's like, well, that doesn't really mean anything, right? And it's funny, today I look at other products out there that are called One. I'm like, that was my name.
Yeah,
I had that, So, but yeah, no, it is quite mind draining. I still remember sitting in my bed with my laptop and just writing different formulas and factionals that I needed in order to generate the type of reporting functionality that was going to be built into this cool platform. And I was literally building it in Excel, but I couldn't figure out how to get it from there to the next step. And, it wasn't until I bumped into a buddy of mine that I told him, what I was doing. And we just talking through stuff, and it was like, all of a sudden he's like, well, I do code. I'm like, what? Really? I didn't know you did that.
Yeah.
And so, one thing led to another, and all of a sudden, we started the company and, took it from there. And so, with the second venture, it's been a little bit different. It's, Understanding how to start a SaaS, number one, is pretty nice to have, to understand the things that you need to run a SaaS from a technology standpoint, from adaptability standpoint, customer service, everything that you need to put in place in order to have a successful SaaS, already having that behind me, and running into the second one has been just absolutely, a lifesaver. And I'll tell you that I kind of feel like I should write a book on how to start a SaaS Insur-Tech. So yeah, I mean, that's been a very, very interesting journey for us, but, and for me, myself personally. So
when you talk, software as a solution, for those that may not understand, SaaS is, do you feel like, as we've seen an emergence of more and more SaaS companies in our space, is that something that is being triggered by the hard market that we're in, or by people just seeing an opportunity for, this, in our industry, as far as people being more accepting of Insur-Techs and indie techs, for that matter? Is that where you're seeing that, or is it a hard market related, or is it just, I don't know. That's what I'm asking you. Like, where do you think that's coming from?
Well, so Insur-Tech's kind of interesting, because Insur-Tech really wasn't anything until, 15 years ago. It really was just kind of like you had the Vertafores, you had, the XiWaves and so forth, so on, but you didn't really have, any other companies out there that were focusing on providing solutions to the insurance industry. But we all knew that there was a problem. Every single producer, every single broker owner, every single insurance company always knew that we really need to figure out how to improve our technology in the insurance space, right? And I think today, I don't really think it has anything to do with the hard market. I really feel as though we're seeing more tech come out because we're seeing more people like myself who see problems and want to come up with solutions. And they're realizing that, there's an opportunity out there. It's almost like, this hidden gem of an untapped industry, which is now being tapped into significantly, and it's really turned into its own animal that just is not going to stop, which is great. It's more or less now, how do we look at all these different technologies that are out there and how can they work together, right? And that's what I think the difference is, to where things are now in the Insur-Tech industry to where they were. In the past, it was like, just build something. We got to solve this problem. Now it's like, well, there's this problem, there's a solution, but it's missing this piece. How do we put these pieces together, right? And I think that's what I'm seeing now, which I think is really, really cool, is a lot of the different tech owners like myself are starting to talk to each other and, trying to look at different ways that we can solve problems together, either with our individual products, or we can assist other products, with our individual products. So Insur-Tech is not going to stop. I mean, it's going to keep going and going and going. It's just a question of, who's going to come up with the next big, great thing. And honestly, I think I did, but that's just for me to say.
Hey, I love the confidence there, but I do love you start talking about integrating. And the integrations piece on that, whether it's with other carriers or with your AMSs or with CRM or through APIs or through whatever it might be, I think that's super cool. And so obviously that was somewhere you started off in your journey. You found a solution, and now you want to make sure that you can connect that to make it as part of your journey as a salesperson or as a CSR or as an account manager. What was that journey, for you like? I mean, as far as where you came up with that, as far as, let's go with your newest, venture with LWScan. You just sold Magic to a large, company out there. And was it something like, okay, now I'm bored, what do I do next? Or have you just already been churning in your head? What was that?
Yeah, no, it was exactly that. It was, what's next? I mean, I don't know what I should do next. I mean, am I just going to sit around and do nothing? That's just not my mentality. It's not the way that I've been my entire life. It's always, there's got to be a challenge or something. My wife is killing me all constantly. She goes, well, you just sit down. I mean, you're just walking around. It's like, you walk around the house sometimes just looking for something to do, sit on the couch for once, do something. other than we're just walking around, right? And so when it came to this solution, we had heard for years and years and years, and I had talked to multiple individuals over the last 15 plus years about the need to get data off of unstructured documents like loss runs. And honestly, loss runs are probably the most complex documents that are in the insurance industry because it's different from carrier to carrier. It's not only different from carrier to carrier, but it's different internally with the carrier where they can produce multiple different versions of a loss run that, it's difficult to go through and get that information off. And so, we were constantly hearing from people say, hey, I mean, is there any way that you can help us get data off of a loss run? Because we solved the problem of getting data off of experience mod worksheets with our prior company. But we never ever looked at or, didn't even think it was going to be feasible to actually get information off of loss runs. So that really was the thing that was kind of sitting in the back of our heads constantly. It's like, I don't know that we can do this, but let's just try it. Let's start by building this algorithm and see if we can actually get, unstructured data off of these documents and put it into a structured format. And that's really where it started. And we just started playing around with it and then started doing a few, we'll put a notification out there to let people know what we're doing. And all of a sudden it's like everybody in the world started banging on our door like, oh my God, yes, we want to participate in your beta. Yes, we're very interested in this. And so we started realizing immediately that this was going to be a home run if we could solve the problem. And we did. I mean, we literally figured out how to do it. We can now pull unstructured data off of any loss run that's out there and put it into a structured format. Some people may say, well, that's great, but what am I going to do? Why do I really need to get this information off of a loss run? And there's tons and tons of reasons, and the value behind the data, it's really unreal of what you can do with that information. We have risk managers who need that information in order to evaluate large companies to see where are the problems that we're having. And for them to go through, hundreds of pages of loss runs to figure out, oh, it looks like we're having a lot of low back problems, right? Or, it's all happening at this location. Or, why do we have all these open reserves that need to be, addressed and so forth, so on. And to look through those loss runs, and especially from multiple different carriers and try to dissect that information, it is just time consuming. It's filled with human errors, right? It's so hard to get all this information, organize it so that you can evaluate it, just from their standpoint or from an underwriter standpoint, to be able to underwrite a risk quickly by putting all the information into their system and being able to quickly analyze it. I mean, really the use cases are just unlimited. There's so many different that we're even hearing on a day-to-day basis from our current customers and from our prospects of what we can do with that information. So yeah, building that stuff out. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. It's like you either dive right in, head first, and go for it, or you just set it on the shoulder and say, this ain't going to happen. We're going to move on with life. So we dove in.
I love it. And I love that you started even back to Mogic, but with this company of solving a problem. And I think that, I've seen, in my 20 plus years in the industry, a lot of companies come and go. We all have. And we've seen, SaaS companies or carriers or whatever. But I think the ones that really come out on the other side are the ones that start off with, here's a problem, let's figure out how to solve it. And so that you started that way. And, I've got a lot of listeners, and one of the conversations that we have at Vertafore a lot, at Vertafore, we talk a lot about the tech stack, and we talk about building your tech stack. And obviously, you being a tech founder here, and this is something you got going on, I want to go back to, because what you've built is primarily for commercial lines, but talk about the personal lines people here, and they're building their tech stack. I think you have to go back to the beginning in that as well. When you're building your tech stack, it has to start with a problem and then find a solution. And so I wondered if you could talk, coming from that producer background, could you talk to the audience a little bit about, what that looks like to start with a problem and then build your tech stack from there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's not just in, the insurance industry, but in anything. I always look at, there's why is this taking me so long? And I think my number one focus has always been time, and if you can solve the problem of time when you relate it to a specific function, or activity that you're doing, because time is something that we just, we can't take back, right? It's gone. When we started this, conversation, that time is gone. We got to move forward. So if I can change the way that we use our time to solve a problem with technology, that is the ultimate solution. Whenever you look at time, you have to look at other things that are involved with time, because time equals money, right? From a financial aspect, if you're working, and you're spending time on something, the more time you're spending doing that, the more money you're spending in salaries and so forth, so on, in order to accomplish that task. Not only that, but you also have, the other piece, which is like making sure that you're using your time efficiently. And what I mean by efficiently is, you could solve a problem, but if it's solving it and the result that you're getting at the end isn't a clear and concise result, it's not an accurate result or whatever it may be, then you're really not solving a problem of time, because now you still got to spend time fixing the other problem, right, that you've already created. So I always say, if you really focus on that first factor, which is what is going to save time or money or both, with some sort of solution, right? And that solution could be one that maybe isn't necessarily a time saver, but a financial gainer, right? Because there could be different things that maybe it's not saving time, but it is increasing my capacity to generate more income. Well, that technically is a time saver in one shape or another, because now you're generating more financial capability to spend on the things that you need to get those done. So, with every problem, you've got those primary objectives of time and money, but then it also has to resonate with your user or marketplace or whatever you want to call it. It has to actually provide the resulting factors, because I could save all the time in the world by doing this, but somebody may say, well, that's cool, but I don't need it, right? So the need has to also be there, obviously. So it's not just time, money, but you also have to have the actual need for the product or for the solution, and it really has to resonate with that person, and or with the company, and that's what I think is really key whenever you're looking at anything that you're going to develop. Is you have to focus on those things.
Spoken like a true dad. You're pulled in all kinds of different directions, and you got kids going every which directions, and you got money flying out of your back pocket. You're looking for a way to save time, money, be efficient.
Absolutely. Well, I have 5 kids, so
right.
I will tell you, yes, dad mode does come in quite a bit. Especially
makes you a better founder, I'm sure.
Yeah, if you ever see those TikToks, with the dads at the airport, already got the Uber lined up. Everybody's in line, and I'm the first one down, and they're way behind me. That's me. That's my life.
That's hilarious. Yeah. And so I love that. So you talk about all the things you just brought up as far as saving the time, saving the money, looking for that need. And I think when people are building out their tech stack, we believe in that core nucleus being the AMS and the CRM. But then from there, you got to figure out, and just like not every person listening to this show is going to be a good fit for LWScan, because they might be personal lines or they may not write certain business. However, there's a lot that will. There's certain people that could use a rater. Some people don't use raters. Some people use this for this automation. Some people use that for this one, or some people use this for that. So I think you're right. If you listen to Scott here, and finding the need, finding what fits your agency, because each agency is different.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Every agency is different. And our user base, and I know you mentioned personal lines and so forth, so on, but the uniqueness of what we built, it's so unreal of how accurate it is for us to get data off of these PDF loss runs, that it doesn't just touch loss runs. Right. It touches all sorts of other things. There isn't an agency out there that doesn't receive a commission statement from a carrier. And what format do they usually come in? PDFs. You know how hard it is to pull all the data off of a PDF, especially if you're a large agency, and get all the commission data off of there accurately, we can do that. We can pull data off of employee list. We can pull data off of vehicle list. We can pull data off of anything that's out there. It's funny. I have a good friend of mine, and he owns a motorcycle parts distribution company. And every year they gets a new parts PDF document list with all the new part numbers, and it's literally like 900 pages long. And he has to go through every year and update all the part numbers, everything like that. And he said, can you get this information off of this list for me? I'm like, yeah, sure. Send it over. He emails it to me. Within 5 minutes, I sent him an Excel document with every single part number, every single line item, everything that was on there perfectly. And he said, are you, and I don't want to say anything.
Right. I hear you.
Are you effing kidding me?
Yeah.
Beep, beep, beep. But you couldn't believe it, So now he keeps sending them to me. I said, why don't you just buy it and I'll code it for you so you can, run it through yourself and do that. So, but anyway, so it really, that's the neat thing about what we've done is, we really don't know what else we can do with this product. And so that's where we reach out to our users to say, hey, tell us what you want. And we're very lucky that as of to date, we already have 6 of the top 100 brokers already using our product. And we're only a year in. We literally just passed our 1-year anniversary. And we didn't start selling this product until I think it was July or August of this year. And we've just been growing like crazy, which is phenomenal. And we keep hearing from more and more people about how amazing what we're doing is and the use cases. So yeah, even if you're personal lines, you just never know, if you think you have a need.
Yeah. And I love you brought up personal lines. We talked about commercial lines, and even, I had you on another show, and immediately after we had somebody call and say, hey, I want in too. So, I mean, people are seeing the need, and I've heard from this guy since then, like it's really helped me and changed the game. But you talk about not just PL, to CL as far as personal lines and commercial, but also, so at Vertafore, our listenership, our base of listeners here come from, we touch agency, carrier, and MGA. We have products for all 3 sides of that. And this product you've built sounds like it's not just aimed at agencies doing commercial insurance in this little box. So talk to me about, let's start with carriers. We know about the agency side of it. How could a carrier dive in and use this product to their advantage?
Yeah, absolutely. Carriers were our primary focus. I mean, that's where we really built the initial thought process around, was actually bring this product to carriers. And it was a carrier in San Diego who actually reached out to me back when I had my other product and asked me if I could do this. And that's where this whole idea initially kind of initiated, was from a carrier, and said, well, how do you want to use it? He said, well, we need to get, every single time we get a submission, we get loss runs. They come in from 4 or 5 different carriers. We have to manually enter that data into our system so that we can generate a quote. If there is a way that you can extract all the claims data and all the information out of those loss runs so that we can quickly rate and underwrite, any risk, I mean, that's a huge time saver and accuracy saver for us. So that's really what we built it for, was that initial primary goal of, okay, we just want to get the data off so that you can do that. Well, then we had other carriers that came to us and said, well, we actually want to put all the data in to our system so that we can analyze a particular type of risk. So maybe it's a car dealers in California. They want to dump all this loss data in there so they can analyze it. We've had different companies like that are trying to build products specific to a industry, right? Like a captive program. And just to build a captive program, the amount of data that they have to dump in to be able to generate information, to be able to solicit to a carrier to say, hey, this is a good risk or not, it's unreal. And the amount of money that they spend in human capital to get that done, it just doesn't make any, I mean, it's a necessity for the business, but it doesn't make financial sense when you compare to what the cost is of our product to that and what you're getting at the back end. So carriers, MGAs, MGUs, it is a huge opportunity, for them. I mean, we have MGUs right now and MGAs who are already buying the product, and they're using it to be able to generate submissions to send to carriers, right? So they're pulling those information in, they're getting the data, and they're just lumping all the data together and exporting it out. And that's kind of the neat thing is, when you look at a loss run, right, from one carrier to the next, Travelers looks totally different than ICW, looks totally different than Hartford, and so forth, so on. And so when you're reviewing these loss runs, right, it's hard to kind of see what you have. Well, with LWScan, you import all that data right in, and then you can either look at it combined with all of those carriers in one single, online, on our UI, and you can sort everything by, open claims or closed claims, or you can type in to say, low back or a certain individual to see if there's multiple individuals. We even have a claims comparison analysis that you can dump a loss run in from one period of time, and then 6 months later pull out another one, and we'll tell you what's different, what's changed in that period of time, which is extremely helpful when analyzing whether or not whatever you're implementing from a risk standpoint to help to reduce risk is actually working, right? So yeah, I mean, for MGAs, MGUs, carriers, I mean, it's really an essential product, for them to look at, and trust me, we're talking to a lot of the big ones right now, which is great.
So yeah, it sounds like you guys, could fit into a lot of different people's tech stack, talking about that solution and the problem. And so being able to solve that issue is fantastic. So we've talked a lot about, the tech stack. We talked about LWScan. And I think most of the audience they get it and they understand a little bit. But if there's anything that you haven't spoke about yet, if you just want to give a couple of sentences on officially what is LWScan, what does it do, and if there's something you haven't mentioned already, let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I mean, LWScan in its essential core is, to extract data off of loss runs. And give it to you so that you can export that information into a CSV file, review that information online, or do whatever you want to do with it. That's essentially what the core value or core use case for LWScan is. And it's really meant to evaluate the amount of time that you spend doing this process, and to reduce the cost for doing this manually or sending it somewhere else overseas or wherever it may go, where your data isn't necessarily protected. Our goal is to give you information accurately from an unstructured format into a structured format that you can do whatever you want with the data. And that's its primary goal. In the future, we'll have our own internal analytics. You'll be able to analyze that information instantly, right on our platform. You'll be able to see what's going on with it, so you can really evaluate, what a risk looks like. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if you think about it, carriers, and I don't think a lot of people think about carriers in this format, but carriers are essentially investment companies. That's what they do. They invest in businesses. And when you get a home loan, right, what do you have to do? You have to give all sorts of documentation to show, that you're not a high risk. And then that's evaluated by the bank, and they decide if they like you or not. And they're going to give you, credits or debits based on what that is, right? And it's the same thing in the insurance industry. They're looking for good investments. A good investment to them is a company that is transitioning in a positive way, right, towards lower claims, and/or already has the capability of not having claims, so that they can be more profitable. Well, how can you do that unless you have the ability to analyze data, right? So that's really the objective of LWScan, is to give that capability to carriers and underwriters and brokers to be able to analyze risks and make better decisions.
Now, as we talk about this, I understand it was born out of the insurance industry, but is there future and maybe outside of the insurance industry? I know you said there's a lot of surprises that have come your way since you started this company.
Yeah, so we've actually been hearing from other industries as well. So the financial industry, quite interestingly, we have the potential of expanding into that particular marketplace. We're dissecting what that looks like. We're really reaching out to the entire community to say, what kind of need do you have with your unstructured data? What can we solve for you? And that's what we're starting to hear from people, because now we've kind of put that feeler out there to say, tell us what you want, because we can build whatever you want. And that's how we do business. It's how I've always done business, is by listening and then acting upon what I feel as though is going to be a positive thing for our company and for our users. And so, there's unknowns of industries that we can get into. I mean, for all we know, we could be in the oil industry. We don't know.
Right.
We don't know what they need to do. I mean, I'm sure in the accounting industry, they need to evaluate information. We already know that with the health industry, there's a huge need for getting information off of claims documents, like a structured claim document that says, this is the claim, this is what's been happening, so forth, so on. And they have to go through hundreds of those and re-enter them manually into systems. Well, we can just scan them and pull the data right off. So there's unknowns for us, and we're always open ears, to what's out there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate your love for not only problem solving, but for our industry and helping do that. And so I'm glad that you started off here, and I appreciate, because you have that background there. I think those who are listening right now can probably, give you a little more credibility there, because you have been in their seats. You have been an insurance salesman. You have been a producer, and you've been in their world. So that you create a product to solve provide a solution for a problem that is out there in every agency that has commercial insurance. So, personally, I want to say thank you for that. And then to the audience listening, as a channel there, thank you. I appreciate you. I wanted to give you another opportunity really quickly before we sign off here, just to, if there's anything that I'm missing, or there's anything else that you would like to share with the audience about, whether it's tech stack or about what you're doing at LWScan, or just any advice you wanted to give from Scott Knowles.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a hard market, that we all know, right?
Yeah.
And, one of the things with a hard market is you have to come prepared as a producer, from a producer standpoint, even from a carrier standpoint, right? We know that carriers, it's not easy to get a carrier just to quote a piece of business. So if you're not coming prepared, and giving that carrier the capability of analyzing a risk appropriately, the opportunity that you're going to get to actually get a submission quoted is much lower. And so what I would say to the community is, if you're a broker or you're an MGA, MGU, and you're putting together submissions to carriers, make sure you've got all your information in a place where they can easily analyze it and understand it. And that's one thing that LWScan does solve for the carriers, and for the brokers, I should say, is by giving you the ability to put all this information from multiple loss runs together in a single loss run that's organized by whatever you want, and an Excel file, right? If you send that information along with your loss runs to a carrier, what do they get? All of a sudden, they can quickly and easily look at all the claims information from all those carriers and make decisions, right? So make it easy on them. Understand that this hard market isn't going to change anytime soon. And for the same purpose, you have to prove yourself to your customers. You have to give them the information that they need on a regular basis to show that you're evaluating their problems, so that you can try to avoid the effects of hard market, which is higher premiums, right? And we all know that. So if you can't do what's necessary on the front end to solve those problems on both sides, from an underwriting standpoint, and then also from a producing standpoint to your customer, your opportunity to win just keeps going down. So I would say, be prepared and focus on what's necessary to get you those wins, from all standpoints.
Yeah, I love that advice. I love that last comment you got in there, and I think it's going to be well received. And so, again, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me in Vertafore land. And audience that's listening, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today on the VIP podcast, season 3, as we're talking about so many of those topics that you guys want to hear about. Make sure you subscribe to our channels. Make sure you find the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And find Scott. You can find Scott where?
LWScan, www.LOSScan.com, 3 S's.
3 S's. So
LWScan.com, or, shoot us an email if you have any questions or anything at support@LWScan.com, and happy to, answer any questions or ideas that you might have.
There you go. Thanks again, Scott. Thank you, listeners. We'll see you on the next one. Well, that was a great episode.
Amazing. It was an amazing episode.
I really enjoyed that content. Guys, if you enjoyed that content and you want more of it, make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Nah, dude. You got to tell them to crush it. Crush that subscribe button, guys.
All right. Whether you want to crush it, smash it, hit it.
Bop it?
Sure, we could bop it. Either way, guys, we don't want you to miss another episode. We enjoy spending time with you, the VIP.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.